I grew up with my grandma. She raised me from the time I was 5. People used to tell me that I was lucky to have someone who stepped up for me. And in a way, they were right. But it never felt like luck. It felt like being caught in the middle of something broken that I didn't understand, something that never really healed even after everyone stopped talking about it. I'm 27 now. I work, I have friends, I try to live normally. But there's a part of me that's stuck in that one night. It's like a scar in my brain that never faded with time. I was 5 years old when my father murdered my mother and the man she was with. My mom was young and beautiful. I've only got a few real memories of her that don't feel tainted. She used to sing when she cooked, off-key but happy. She smelled like the coconut lotion she always used. I remember her tucking me in, brushing my hair out of my eyes, and telling me I'd grow up strong like my dad. My dad was the hard-working type construction, long hours, sunburned arms, always tired but still finding time to take me fishing on weekends. He was rough around the edges but not cruel to me. If anything, he was the one person I wanted to be like when I was little. I don't know when things started going bad between them. Adults around me said they were fighting more and that my mom had wandered off. I didn't really understand what that meant. All I knew was that my dad started coming home quieter, sitting on the porch smoking for hours without saying much. My mom started dressing up more, staying out late. I was too little to understand what was happening, but I could feel it in the air. The house didn't feel safe. It felt heavy, like everyone was pretending we were still a family when it was already gone. That night is burned into my head. I don't remember the whole thing clearly, but the pieces I do remember play on a loop sometimes, especially when I can't sleep. My mom didn't come home that night. It was around 1 in the morning when my dad shook me awake. He said we were going to find her. I remember being half asleep, confused, still in my pajamas, and he just lifted me up and carried me to his truck. I didn't ask questions because when you're 5, you just go along with whatever your parents tell you. He said we were going to check the bar where she worked. She was a bartender, and it wasn't unusual for her to get home late. But that night, he said something felt wrong. The bar was already closed when we got there. He drove around, saying there were 2 roads that looped around like a circle. He said we'd go left first and come back around the other way. I remember the dark road, the hum of the truck, the smell of gas and old leather. I was sitting on the seat next to him, small enough that I couldn't even see over the dashboard without standing up. We didn't see her car at the bar, but on the way back home he spotted it parked in a driveway. I can still see the taillights reflecting off our headlights. He pulled over down the road, shut the truck off, and told me to stay quiet. I didn't understand why. I just knew his voice had changed. It wasn't angry exactly, but flat and cold in a way that scared me more than if he had yelled. We walked up to the house. It was small, one of those older ones with a porch light that flickered. He carried me part of the way and set me down near a window. I remember peeking in through the glass because he told me to. Inside, there was light from a lamp, and my mom was there with another man. I didn't really know what I was seeing. I just knew it was something I wasn't supposed to see. She was with him in a way that made my dad's face go blank. He didn't yell or break the window. He just walked to the side of the house and opened the screen door like he had done it before. I followed a few steps behind, not really knowing what was happening. What I remember next is the look on my mom's face when she saw us. Shock, fear, maybe guilt. I don't know how to describe it, but it was the kind of look that makes your stomach drop even when you're a kid. The rest of it comes in flashes. The man jumped up. My dad hit him. My mom ran toward the kitchen. My dad pulled out the knife he had been using earlier that day when we were fishing. The guy got up again and lunged. My dad turned and stabbed him. I remember the sound, the wet kind of sound that doesn't leave your head once you hear it. The man ran out of the house, and my dad followed him. My mom was screaming. I remember standing there with our dog, not understanding why everything was so loud. I don't know how long it took. Maybe a minute, maybe 10. My mom ran outside after them, and I could hear more screaming. When she came back, she was covered in blood. Her face looked different, like she wasn't even there anymore. I remember reaching for her, but she fell. I tried to shake her, but she didn't move. I was crying, and I think I was yelling for my dad. When he came back in, his hands were bloody. He looked at her, then at me, like he didn't know what to do. Then he grabbed me and ran out of the house. We drove to my grandma's house. I remember being covered in blood. I don't even remember crying anymore at that point. I think I was in shock. My grandma and aunt tried to clean me up, but I just remember them arguing, saying things like, call the police, and oh my God. I remember being put to bed, even though it was still dark outside. I don't remember anything else until the next morning when the police were at the house. After that, everything changed. My dad was arrested. The police said the man my mom was with had 57 stab wounds. My mom had been stabbed too. I didn't understand numbers back then, but I do now, and it's horrifying to think about. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. I don't remember the trial, just bits of my grandma crying and people whispering in hallways. They told me later that the jury didn't take long to decide. Growing up, people treated me differently once they found out. I was that kid. Teachers would look at me with pity. Parents didn't want their kids sleeping over at my house. When I hit middle school, I started reading old newspaper articles about what happened. That's how I learned most of the details, including the part about 57 stab wounds. Before that, I didn't know how bad it really was. My grandma never talked about it. She raised me the best she could, but she carried a sadness that filled the house. She blamed herself in some ways. She used to say my dad had anger in him even as a boy, that he didn't know how to let things go. But she also loved him. It's weird growing up in a place where your father is both the monster and the son of the woman who's caring for you. Every time I saw her cry, I didn't know if it was for my mother or for him. I saw my dad a few times in prison when I was younger. He would hug me and tell me he was sorry. He'd ask if I was doing well in school, if grandma was treating me okay. I wanted to love him, but every time I looked at his hands, I thought about the blood. I thought about my mom lying on the floor. I thought about how he destroyed both their lives and mine too. So eventually, I stopped going. The last time I saw him, I was maybe 11. He looked older, smaller, almost fragile. I remember thinking that he didn't look like my dad anymore. As I got older, the memories came back in more detail. Therapy helped a little, but it also made me remember things I didn't know I had buried, like the way the house smelled that night, or how quiet it was after everything stopped. I used to have nightmares where I'd be standing in that living room again, watching them fight, and I couldn't move. I'd wake up sweating, heart pounding, thinking I still had blood on me. Relationships are hard for me. I don't trust easily. I've dated, but there's always a part of me that keeps people at a distance. I'm scared of becoming him, of having that kind of anger hidden somewhere inside me. I don't yell. I don't argue. If things get heated, I shut down or walk away. Some people think that makes me cold, but I know what happens when people lose control. I saw it with my own eyes. There's this strange guilt that comes with being the only one left. My mom's gone. My dad's locked away. My grandma's getting old now. Sometimes I wonder what people think when they look at me. If they see the son of a murderer or the kid who lost everything. I've tried to build a life. I finish school. I work a steady job I keep to myself. But that night never leaves me. It's not something you can just move past. It's like living with a ghost that never stops whispering. I used to think I hated my dad, but as I've gotten older, it's not that simple. I think he loved us in his own twisted way. He just couldn't handle the betrayal. He let rage turn him into something unrecognizable. Maybe if he had walked away that night, we'd all still be here. I've played it over in my head 1,000 times, wondering what would have happened if he had just kept driving past that car. I've never told the full story to anyone until now. Most people in my life don't know. They just know my parents passed away. It's easier that way. You don't want to see the look on someone's face when you tell them your dad killed your mom. You don't want to explain that you were there, that you remember parts of it, that you can still smell the blood and feel the cold air from the open door. I go fishing sometimes, just like my dad used to take me. It's weird, but being out on the water helps me think. I try to remember the good parts of him, The patient parts. The father who helped me tie bait and told me to be quiet so the fish wouldn't hear us. I try to remember my mom's laugh, her perfume, the way she'd dance in the kitchen. I try to hold on to those tiny good memories like they can cancel out the horror of that night. They can't, but it helps. Sometimes I wonder what kind of man I would have become if that night never happened. Maybe I'd be married, have kids. Maybe I'd visit my parents on weekends. Instead, I visit graves. I visit a prison. I visit my grandma's quiet living room where their wedding picture still sits on a shelf. I look at their faces and try to understand how love could turn into something that deadly. Writing this down feels like the only way to let some of it out. I don't want sympathy. I just wanted to finally tell the truth. Because I'm tired of pretending I don't remember. I do. I remember everything.